Right, good evening. Let me just check if we are all good to go. Let me just tag a few people in. If you're coming in, let me know your biggest win so far today. Biggest win so far today and of the week so far. Come in, ask your questions, let me know. Good evening, Naomi. How are we doing? So it is day 2 Q&A. Ask me anything. Is now live. Okay, perfect. Let's rock and roll. So if you are coming in, good evening, Bridget. Let me know your biggest win so far this week. Biggest win so far this week. Let's rock and roll. Any questions, as always, do let me know. I will, hey Leslie, hey Bridget, I will also be going over the questions that have been asked already. Hey Ali, let me know your biggest win so far this week. Give me a hello in the comments. Let me know you're coming in. If you're on replay as well, do let me know as well. Before I walk in the sunshine today, lovely. Awesome. Very good. Right. Let me just get a few people in and then we are ready to rock. Okay. So, right. Good evening. Just getting people in before we get these questions up and we're ready to rock. It is 8 o'clock, day 2. We made it this far. Good evening, Jill, Joyce, Bernadette, Heather. Let me know your biggest win so far this week. Give me a hello, rock and roll. And we are ready to rock. I think we're there. Right, let me get these questions up. Completed first for each fit class. Awesome work, Naomi. Feeling ready to rock and roll. Didn't manage exercise this morning, but long walk. Got something done, well done, Lorraine. Awesome work. Good evening, Jill. Tina, walked 5 miles, did the workout. Taking action. This is what we like to see. Good evening, Sue. Let me know your biggest win so far this week. You only get results for done, remember. And actually, we can always talk about what's the most optimal, what's this. Biggest win, getting all the exercises done as per commitment. Doing what you said you would do gives you confidence. That comes from evidence, from doing. That's what gives you confidence, not waiting for the time to be perfect. Jill did a workout, walked 60 minutes today. Love it. No wine, feeling confident, clear ahead. Love it, Heather. Good. Joyce, rock and roll. Good evening, Teresa. Got the workout in. Reboot later one and did it. Love it. That is good. Had to bail on the first one. Reboot later session and did it. That's a big win. Biggest win, my first proper balanced meal planned and feel smiley face emoji. Who actually knows what smiley face emoji feels like though? Very good. Awesome work. Biggest win, sticking with it, 0 snacking. And how do you feel from 0 snacking? Great. Doing the workouts. Love it, Anne. Good work. Look at all these wins coming in. This is how it breeds that confidence. Remind yourself. It gives you evidence. Most people start off too far out of the track. Then they're like, I can't do this. No wonder we say nothing works. Increased my veg, decreased carbs in meals today. Awesome, Lucy. Some great questions I've moved over as well. Logging food and sticking to it, Leslie. Awesome. Didn't manage exercise this morning. Did my normal workout session in gym this evening. Perfect. Getting it done. Doesn't matter what you do, just to get it done. Good evening, Karen. Ready to rock and roll. Right. Without further ado, let's get these questions up and ready to rock. All good, Rebecca. Catching up on replay later. Let's rock and roll. Let's get it done. Okay. So, questions. Right, let me get these questions up for you. So, I'm going to run through them as you know from yesterday. I go off on tangents. So, day 2 Q&A. Very good though, I must say that there's just as many questions on day 2 as day 1. It's very good. So, Joyce, first question. I take magnesium tablets. Would I be better changing to some other vitamins? So, the question here, Joyce, would be why do you take magnesium? What do you expect to get from them? Magnesium has benefits from many points of view. You could say bone health, you could say migraines, headaches, if you have like restless legs. Magnesium is the second most common deficiency in Western world behind vitamin D. So it's also associated with diseases like diabetes, type 2 diabetes, that is. Not that it's a cause, but it's association, whether that's dietary deficient. There's also lots of hypotheses around the soil not being as nutritious, so you get less magnesium from vitamins, veggies and just foods in general. I take magnesium every day. It can also help with sleep. It's a muscle relaxant. Teresa, yes, I was prescribed this after 2 broken rests for a year, precautionary. Yeah, I mean, the side effects of magnesium, if there is one, would be going to the loo more often. Even Rebecca, even Franca, Michelle, would be going to the loo a bit more often. So if you've got IBS, good work with Tasha, awesome, Joyce. Did my best with the exercises, Claire, managed some of them in the wheelchair, and I've been swimming, awesome. Fish and vegetarian, no potatoes, good to go. Biggest win, PB on the chest press, love it. So zero snacking here too, look at this, love it. Good, keep building it in. So yeah, what I would say with that, Joyce, is magnesium is good. Changing some other vitamins, well, this kind of comes in with some of the other questions. Hey, Isabel, would be vitamin D, like I talked about already. And around menopause, some people have asked a few questions. I would say that menopause, around that, there's lots of different supplements you could take, but some of my go-tos, creatine in terms of muscle, cognitive health, performance, recovery, energy. More so if you're vegetarian and vegan, more so on there. So if you're not taking vitamin D, I would 100% take that. If you want a bit more, magnesium may help sleep. Also muscle relaxant, so if you do struggle, if you've got weak bladder, you get in the night for a wee, could help with that as well. If you have got IBS, not that it can trigger it, because I consider myself a bit vulnerable to that, but I can still take magnesium and be fine. I do have magnesium before bed. The research is good on that. So yeah, that would be my go-to on there. Right. Thoughts on intermittent fasting. This works for me. I'm on my game. Yeah, so intermittent fasting can absolutely work. A few questions around that. Does it work? Well, it depends. Does it help you eat more or less throughout the day? That's the question. If you're someone who wakes up in the morning and you're not hungry at all, and you can wait till 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock, 12 o'clock to have your first meal of the day, the key thing is that you plan that first meal. When you break the fast, good protein, good nutrition, you'll feel fuller for longer and more satisfied. That is going to be key for you, that you're full and satisfied. The reason we see it go wrong quite often is if people skip breakfast, don't have any plan, and they're starving, they're in the office, they're at home, they pick, snack, eat, ravenous, nothing planned. That's when it goes wrong. Another way it goes wrong is if, let's say, you go all out, you go straight in with the 16-8, and perhaps you just end up binging later. One of the things I'd say is if you're new to it and you want to try it, is just go like a 12-12, 12 hours fasting, 12 hours. Let's say you say tomorrow you're going to eat between 7 and 7. I know that sounds pretty normal, but what do people do after 7 o'clock? Who makes great decisions after 7 o'clock? I don't know many people, apart from you lot, because you're here after 7 o'clock. You've made a great decision to join me with the Q&A. But no one really makes great decisions, right? We buy random things online that we don't need quite often. We scroll through videos of cats playing the piano. We watch random videos like this. We munch on foods that we hope will make us feel better. We drink. Our willpower's at its lowest. We just need to go to bed, but we don't. We decide to scroll a little bit more. Like, I could go on. We make these decisions which don't really make sense. In the morning, we often just regret these, right? So what I would say with that is, by having that intermittent fasting rule, that whether that's fasting or whether you just want to call it a rule, that I don't eat after 7 o'clock, fine. And actually having that clear cut, not, oh, could I have that? Could I have? No, I just don't eat. I don't eat after 7 o'clock. I would, but I don't eat after 7 o'clock. It's one of those tricks that you can use when you want to say no to people. and no to certain things. No, I don't eat after 7 p.m. That's like a not even, right. You know, how do you respond to that? Whereas if you go, I shouldn't really. Go on. No, I better not. You sure? Come on. That's giving you the, I might do. Clear rules? You know. No, don't eat after 7 o'clock. Hazel, I take magnesium due to rest and but still showing an issues with sleeping. How much do you take, Hazel? Do you take magnesium citrate? I would recommend that. If you haven't tried it, I would actually try ZMA. ZMA is zinc, magnesium, and vitamin B6. I do think that combination is good. The research is a bit mixed on it, but the problem with research on sleep and restless leg is it is quite subjective as well. You could look at potassium in your diet as well, Hazel, and building on that magnesium as well. Cocoa is great. A hot milk before bed can actually help with sleep. The old wives' tales are always true, aren't they? I actually often have milk with some cocoa and cinnamon before bed. Nice, tasty. I was going to have it now, but I didn't have actually time to make it. But I'll probably have one when I get back later on. Nice little treat, filling, keeps you satisfied, slow digestion protein, delicious, all good to go on there. So that could be an option on there. In terms of potassium and magnesium food as well, make sure you get enough water in there, would be key as well on there, Hazel. But could be worth a try. So intermittent fasting, yeah, that's just something to consider. How should you start it? If you've never done it before, don't go all out on it. Just start small with that. Good evening, Sally. Karen, should you take vitamin D all year or just the winter months? So it's up to you, but for me, I take it year round, partly unless I'm in the sun without sun cream for half an hour, basically. That's a good rule of the thumb. And that's in the sun between April and September, because October to March, even if you're in the sun, the UV levels aren't high enough for you to synthesize vitamin D anyway. So you're not even getting vitamin D in the winter. So that's why it's a public health recommendation. But in the summer, quite often you're sat in the shade between the hours of like 10 and 4 anyway, when UV levels are higher and you would get vitamin D. If you are sat in the sun, you've got sun cream on, which blocks the synthesis of vitamin D. So you're not getting it then anyway, or as much. It blunts that. So for me, I would say most of the time, yes. So in the summer, if I'm like, I've gone for a run in the day or a walk in the day for half an hour, I haven't had sun cream on, shorts and t-shirt, then I'll go, fine, I won't bother having it today. That's kind of my rule of the thumb and my take on it. So yeah. Emma, for breakfast, is it healthy to have a bowl of porridge or would shredded wheat work equally as good? Good question. If there's a mix between the two, so porridge, technically with oats, has beta-glucan in it, fibre, so it definitely has a more fullness rating because of the gloopiness of it, the viscosity, if you like. Because of that, porridge tends to keep you more full up for longer than, say, shredded wheat. However, if you love shredded wheat and it keeps you full and you're fine with that, good evening, Andrea, then fine, you can go with that. That's absolutely fine. It's not that high in protein, either options. So I would look at getting some protein in with that if you can. One thing I would do in terms of fullness is you could weigh out your portion of porridge, weigh out your portion of shredded wheat to match the calories. So say you're going, right, I'm going to have 200 calories worth of each of these, and have a look at how much it is. And then look, right, if you ate that much, 200 calories of shredded wheat, what does that look like? 200 calories of porridge, what does that look like? Then you can make a better informed decision and go, what's going to keep me fuller? What's going to keep me more satisfied? I find that quite a powerful thing to do, actually, because then you go, I could eat so much more porridge, or I might add some Greek yogurt into the porridge and get a bit more protein in, or I could add some scoop of whey protein powder, mix it in to the porridge once it's cooked, so that I get a bit of protein in there as well. I could have something on the side of it. I could chuck some berries in with the porridge as well to maybe get more nutrition in as well. So there's lots of options in there. There's no necessarily right or wrong, but interesting to look at. Yeah, so Hazel, water, perfect. Yeah, that's all good with the magnesium. Had the cocoa in. Have a look at ZMA as well, Hazel, I'd consider. How much water would you recommend drinking a day? how many glasses of water is good. So with water, a good rule of the thumb is 3 clear wees a day, or you're weeing clear by noon. That way, or like cloudy like lemonade, it doesn't have to be super clear. It does often depend on the weather and how much you sweat. So you could go down the route of glass of water with every hot meal, hot drink, as a rule of the thumb, but weeing clear by noon is generally seen as quite a good rule of the thumb. If you've taken a vitamin C, or what they called the dissolvable vitamin C things, just know that might ruin your experiment of weeing clear by noon, as your wee might be yellow. But generally, if you can partner, habit stack, glass of water with every hot drink, glass of water every meal, you're going to be on the right game on there. 2-3 litres a day is probably a good rule of the thumb as well. And I always say to people, if you are worried about drinking too much water, so you hear some like shock, do you drink too much water? Then just have some electrolytes. Fine. You could have some electrolytes, or even a little bit of sea salt in like a 2-litre bottle of water. Fine. That will be fine as well. That's essentially what electrolytes will give you as well, within reason. So that's another option to do as well. Cool. So next question, Ali, higher protein breakfast if eggs are the only thing available. Eggs are higher protein, so that's perfect. So you could have poached eggs on toast, scrambled egg on toast, omelette, if you want a lower carb option on there. Do you mean eggs are not available? Or eggs are available? Eggs are great, so yeah, go to town on them. Boiled eggs, dippy eggs, egg and soldiers, all good with that. Julie, vitamins is a good question. Post-menopause, should I be taking any? Thanks. So post-menopause, one of the things that changes is generally the need for iron reduces, generally, mainly because of periods, less bleeds, etc. That's about the only thing that would change from vitamins point of view. I would say same then thing applies. Creatine, protein. Are you getting enough protein? If not, could you maybe consider a supplement? Hey Mandy, no worries. Magnesium potentially in terms of sleep. You could look at creatine, like I said as well, in terms of cognitive function. It's being pushed and pushed. It's not even being pushed that much. It's cheap as chips. It's the most oldest well-researched supplement out there. It's crazy that it's not in a pink packaging saying menopause supplement. It is. I think it's so cheap to make, and so many people provide it, that there's not any, that you wouldn't be able to make it expensive or anything, so people don't push it. But that's a supplement that I would hands down recommend. It would be creatine for energy, metabolism, cognitive health. They're doing research now in terms of cognition, muscle loss, strength. So creatine would get, especially if you're vegan, vegetarian as well, because creatine is naturally found in fish, meat, eggs. But if you're still not like high amounts, but they see better saturation in vegan vegetarians. So there are a few things I'd consider on there, Julie. Vitamin tablets would benefit me this time of year. Vitamin tablets this time of year, vitamin D, 100%. If you're not taking vitamin D3, definitely take that. That'd be the first go-to on there, Caroline, for sure. Bridget, more a comment on last access about getting a greater variety of veggies, nuts, beans. Don't forget the variety of herbs, spices, which we add to our food. Yeah, they all play an important part, absolutely. So curry powder, yeah, you can add in that as well. Yeah, absolutely. Herbs, etc. Yeah, they all count if you want to chuck them in as well. All good. Yeah, I actually love, it's a weird combination. It's probably a love-hate, but turmeric with eggs, like scrambled egg with turmeric, and like curry powder with turmeric. I don't know if that's a thing, or I've just done it and gone, oh, that's actually quite nice. But it's weirdly nice, yeah. Does anyone else do that? Or not? Anyway. Yeah, weird combinations work with eggs though, I find. I've had hummus with eggs before and gone, why is this nice? And does anyone else do this or not? Great, Ali, all good. So, and can you suggest some soy products, please? I don't know where to start. Did you mention soy yogurt? Yep, soy yogurt, tofu. If you want to add that in, obviously with the research around hot flushes, it's quite interesting. Soy yogurt's the best dairy alternatives. You don't want to have dairy. If you don't want to have dairy, for whatever reason that is, as much as I think Greek yogurt, great, perfect. If you don't want to have that, you don't get on with it, soy yogurt would be your best go-to on there. And then, you know, tofu, in terms of a protein source, is pretty good as well. The beans as well, so like soybeans, edamame beans, they're all good as well, and good protein. And can you clarify what a hand size portion means? Palm size, from fingertips, wrist size, and whose hand? It is your hand. You can't choose whose hand. So protein, I'd go hand size, the whole hand, as a good rule of the thumb. And this is, remember, if you don't want to weigh it out, whole hand. Carbs, fist size, potato, rough around the edges. Fats, thinking that's not much, and it isn't. And my question back to you is, it's because we don't actually need that much in terms of healthy fats. Like, however, remember this is at every meal. Remember, you've also, I say, up to 300 calories of any snacks you like. So if you're like someone who likes a lot of fat in their diet, remember, you can be quite flexible with it. And I always say this, but like in terms of the meal maker, if you're someone who doesn't really enjoy carbs or doesn't want carbs at every meal, you could cut out the carbs at that meal, maybe have a bit more fat at that meal. That's absolutely fine. So, you know, if you're having a salad and you're like, I don't want potato, I'd rather have avocado, you chuck that in instead. Not a fist, not quite a fist size, but, you know, an extra thumb size or whatever. A few more slices of avocado in there, whatever, that's absolutely fine. Play around with it, see what keeps you fuller for longer. We know that potatoes have a massive filling effect. We know that satiety of fat tends to be quite low. So fats tend to not keep people that full per calorie, which is unsurprising because they're higher in calorie per gram. So for example, if someone has like a handful of nuts, people have it's a lot of calories for how full someone feels. Where if someone has, I don't know, it surprises people, but I always say this, like, if you look at the portion of, like, I don't know, a chicken and salad wrap, and you look at the calories in that versus the calories of, you know, a few handful of nuts, or say, you might go, wow, like, the nuts, I felt like I didn't really eat that much. I was just having a little snack. The wrap, I felt like I've eaten a lot, shouldn't have eaten too much. But all of a sudden, you look at the calories of it and you go, oh, actually, these foods I'm getting more volume for my food here. So just something to consider with that. And I find out with like 0% Greek yogurt and berries that I do quite often. Like I said, 0% yogurt, frozen berries, thawed, stir it in. So they're thawed, like makes like a little jam in there. I have that quite a lot. It's like 300 odd calories, and you get like 60 grams of protein for like the whole pot, and loads of berries in there. And it's like ridiculously low calories. By the end of that, I'm just stuffed. Plus you've got a whole load of antioxidants, polyphenols, nutrients which help recovery, your immune system, you've got calcium, iodine, good for your thyroid, you name it, it's good. Magnesium as well, found in dairy. Is the bloating you get when you are of small build, height, and significantly increase your water intake normal, taking aside the runs to the toilet? If you're getting bloating, I'd probably say it's more likely to be from foods that ferment. So I'd maybe look at reducing foods with a high fermentation potential. So these could be like beans, legumes, things like that. Fiber like wholemeal, I'd maybe look at reducing them and seeing if that has an impact. And maybe don't increase your water massively, just do it sips slowly. Is soya milk better than oat milk? Is soy the same as soya milk? Yes, so soy is the same as soya milk, yeah. Is soy better than oat milk? Depends what you define as better for a protein source. In terms of being closer to dairy, yes, so more protein. Oat milk doesn't really contain any protein. It's fortified, so it's got like a vitamin tablet added into it to try and mimic it, as has soy, to try and mimic dairy. So, hope that makes sense. I'm pescatarian, it's probably best for both of us. We'll think about adding in soy, as most I have read, it's negative about genetically modified GMO. Are edamame beans the same? Yeah, edamame beans are fine. In terms of like GMO and things you read about soy, I'm not like pro or against soy. I personally think that overall, if you have a little bit moderation, whatever, fine. Tofu, etc., vegan, vegetarian. In terms of vegan, vegetarian, I'd say it's a great nutrient. If you eat meat, dairy, I'd say it's take it or leave it. Doesn't really offer anything massively superior other than potentially if you look at the hot flushes, research around that, there could be something around there. In terms of the GMO and health, etc., I always say, like, sometimes you got to take a step back. If you look at like Asian populations, you look at their soy intake and you look at their longevity and you think, hasn't really done any of them harm. And it's similar with like white rice, right? In the UK, it's like white rice is seen as something that's quite bad. And then you go like to Asia where they're living like one of the longest lives and their longevity, and they eat a ton of white rice. It's interesting. Comes back down to there's more to it than that, right? I bought some powdered peanut butter, so the powdered peanut butter, less fat, but protein looks higher and it appears processed rather than ultra processed. Is this right or have I got this wrong? As a veggie, I love nuts as a source of protein, but the fat cost can be very high. Listened to a video on yogurt and thought about how much you have to spend to get the protein. Yeah, so good question here. So protein per calorie higher when you've got the powdered one. If you are vegetarian vegan, there's going to be an element, if you're trying to chase higher protein, there's going to be an element where you're going to have to look at some form of processing if you want to get protein levels up, especially if you're looking at nuts and stuff. Remember, like, whey protein is classed as a processed food, but essentially it's just the byproduct of cheese. It's a natural food. Just there has to be some processing. Chopped tomatoes are processed. Tomato puree, processed. Olive oil, processed. Doesn't mean they're unhealthy. In terms of like the nut butter, if you're just looking for something to increase a bit of protein intake, treat that almost like protein powder for you. That can be like your protein powder. It's not that you can't have peanut butter, but like you said, you get more protein per calorie. Therefore, you're able to stay within your calories. Because let's face it, although someone might go, no, you just eat normal peanut butter. If you're struggling to stick to your calories and you keep going over your calories and then you're not losing body fat, that could be more unhealthy than doing the opposite and going, I'm not losing weight. It's also frustrating, right? So that could be a little swap that, a bit like I talked about the yogurt, pushes you in the right direction. Sarah, what doses of vitamin D is optimal? I'm on a prescribed maintenance dose of 25,000 units a month. Not sure if it's safe to increase, as I think I have a mild case of SAD. I think if you're under prescribed maintenance, I'd probably speak to GP about that. Like I said, with vitamin D, the recommendation is up to 4,000 IU a day. And then if you did want to have more than that, the recommendation tends to be speak to GP, if that is about that. I do know there's some massively high doses thrown around out there, which are less researched. But 4,000 IU is generally the safe limit, unless there's some therapeutic effects going on and you've been prescribed it for a certain reason, is what I'd say. Evening, Kay. Cool. So I hope that helped. Some good questions again today. That is all the questions I've had. Cool. Yeah, that's all the questions tonight. So if there are no more questions, if you've got any more questions, do put them below. But any other questions while you're on, let me know. I know you probably said this one time, but what is the recommended daily intake and calorie protein intake for a woman in her 50s? I'll put a link in the comments for this. So if you go to fruitsyfit.com/how many calories do I need? I'll put this link in the comments. fruityfit.com/how many calories do I need? And then if you follow that, that will tell you how many calories that you need. You just need to fill in height, weight, etc. That's a good starting point to go by. So I'll link this above as well. So you've got this above the video as well. So I think that's quite key actually. I'll put that above here whilst you're on. I'll also put all the questions above so you can actually see it all. And it's easier, isn't it? Easier to know what you're looking for, if it's relevant, what one is better than the other ones. Any questions that you might go, don't want to know that, not too interested in that, that's fine as well. Then you can kind of choose the ones that you want. So that is day 2 in the can. Day 3, we start to step it up that a little bit more. We go into a bit more detail. New tasks, sabotage, comfort eating, going forward into it. And again, another Q&A. As always, good evening, Carol. I am just putting all the questions above this so you can easily go through this. But if you've got any questions before this ends, do put it in the comments and I will come back to you with this. And as well, if you are on replay, do let me know that you've watched on replay. It's always good to know that people are watching on replay, which is good. Lots of questions tonight, which is good. A few ones that overlap in terms of the supplements, which is all good. And that's fine. And we are ready to rock. 10. Right, I think we are all good to go. 10 questions. No, more than 10. That is good. Very good. Everything from vitamin D to water. So, yeah. Perfect. Right, let's rock and roll. Any questions, as always, let me know. How much water should I drink? Thanks for joining me in tonight. Let's get some good sleep so we are ready to rock for tomorrow. And I will see you. If there are no questions, let me have one last. Cool. Great. All good. Cheers, Ali, Karen, Carol, Bridget. All good. Get an early night. Get your sleep in. Let's rock and roll. Keep showing up. Meet me halfway. Let's rock and roll. Keep showing up. Let's doing the boring part, the boring work, the boring work. And remember, like I said, there's always that moment where you've still got the problem that you want to change, whether it's weight, energy, mood, you name it. And at the same time, you're doing the things that you're told to do, showing up to exercise, diet, but you're not seeing results. That's because that's the moment where, if you think where you are now, it didn't just randomly happen. If you look what you did 6 months ago, what you started to do, what you didn't do, that's probably linking to your results where you are now. So remember, it's not about looking at what's working right now, but at the same time, it's looking at what did I do before? Because what you do today might just be the reason why in 6 months' time, if you kept going, and that's the secret, so it's great when you go, oh, I'm not seeing results, I'm doing all this, great. Most people give up at this moment, you're just going to keep going. Do the hard thing. No one does the hard thing. Remember that. Rock and roll, keep it going, keep progressing, no matter how small, showing up, small habits, and I will see you later. Take care, have a good evening, bright and early, 6 a.m.